Hey everyone, this is Jack from the South Africa 2 group, and I'm going to talk to you all today about Jamaican English. It's really kind of an interesting English. Um, as a quick disclaimer, there are going to be a couple of kind of samples when we talk about linguistic variation. I am not going to try to pronounce any of, or at least I'll say the examples, but I'll say them in my accent just so I don't butcher it really badly and maybe seem insensitive. So there's the disclaimer. So let's start with our 5 facts about Jamaican English. Number 1 is that there's actually a Creole that is really kind of prominent on Jamaica, on the island of Jamaica. So there you've got the English and you've got the Creole, and you've also kind of got British English, and they're all kind of on the scale from very informal to very formal. Um, the Creole is also called patois, um, spelled Patois. Seems kind of French spelling ish, but the patois Creole is what's spoken by the vast majority of Jamaicans. Um, it's based on English, but also kind of takes from like the African languages around. So it's really to understand Jamaican English, you've got to kind of think about the Creole. Um, so it's not exactly a sub variety, but it kind of works in the same sort of a way. Um, 2/3 of the people who speak Jamaican English live in Jamaica. Other people, maybe in Panama, Costa Rica, other parts of the Caribbean Sea, might also speak Jamaica. That's fact number 2. Number 3, there are about 3.2 million speakers um, among all of our countries. Number 4, some literature you can find in Jamaican English. Um, First, we have Escape to Last Man Peak by Jean de Costa, and I'm not gonna really try and pronounce these. Songs of Jamaica by Claude McKay is another piece of literature. And number 5, so the Jamaican English is kind of, as far as how orthodox it is in the government, is kind of a tough question to answer. So this is also, I mean, it has to do with the fact that Jamaica was colonized by the British. It has British English as, so that's kind of the target language a lot, sometimes in schools. Um, but also, I think especially now, Jamaican English is being taught, and it's, instead of being British English versus Jamaican English, it's more Jamaican English versus Creole English. So that is to say, the orthodoxy or the power associated with this language is just hard to tell. All right, next let's talk about education. So the thing about education and English language teaching is, of course, a lot of the youth in the schools speak this Creole, Jamaican patois, um, and English is being taught there. So the first thing to notice is that a lot of the education is based on like standardized testing. Okay, that's one thing. Also, so that can have like what the test is, and if I read the article right, a lot of the tests are based on Jamaican English rather than British English. Um, so you have the the tests are, they kind of dictate how teachers teach, right? And so there are lots of different opinions between teachers maybe on the use of the Creole in the classroom or in the school setting. But based on the way that the standardized tests do English, and that those standardized tests almost make the they can almost be kind of the standard for what is Jamaican English, sort of in a similar way to how standardized tests in the United States definitely have an influence on how we think of proper English, right? Or proper American English. All right, now let's talk about history. So Jamaica was colonized very early on by the Spanish, and then so African slaves were brought to work in Jamaica. I think, at least in my American mind, a stereotypical Jamaican person is of color, and that's as a result of this slave trade in the 1600s. Britain took it over after the Spanish kind of empire kind of crumbled, and recently, in like 1962, Jamaica gained independence as the British Empire was crumbling. So the Jamaican Creole kind of combines all of these languages, some African languages, combines English, it combines the native languages that were there when the Spanish came first, but English is kind of, Jamaican English is kind of halfway, like I've been saying, halfway between this Jamaican Creole. So there's been a lot of influence from the Creole to the English. So it's halfway between that and British English. One thing about it is that there have been maybe some change from, and then we're thinking about a little bit long term. There's been changes from targeting some British terms to targeting some American terms. Perhaps in the certain words that are used in English, which is really interesting. All right, so here we go. Linguistic variance. So sometimes in Jamaican English, in fact, I think this is the standard for Jamaican English, rather than changing the ending of a verb, speakers will add extra words. So if the phrase me go means I go in standard English, me go would mean I am going. Me go is I am going to go. And me and go means I went. Plurals can be marked sometimes by an extra word. So die fishdem, so the fish, right, the fishes or whatever, or cowdem for cows, right? So dem there is a plural marker. Generally, also, there's no use of, like in standard English, we use the ly kind of ending for adverbs. That doesn't happen generally in Jamaican English. And then the word kind of can be sometimes used as a demonstrative. So instead of see that man there, it might be see a man there. And yeah, all of these examples would be probably way better if I could properly pronounce Jamaican English, but I'm not even going to try, so sorry about that. Thanks, everybody, and I hope you all do well on exam 1.